One of the major gifts in my life is Tai Chi. I've been doing the long-form Yang style for about 30 years now, more or less daily, and practice under different teachers. But this last teacher, the teacher I'm currently studying with for the last 15 years or so, every Saturday morning we go and do Tai Chi in San Pedro Park at 7 o'clock with the class. It's great. Wake up early, have my cup of tea, go to San Pedro Park, relax into what's almost always a very full weekend ahead. And as soon as we finish, a little before 8, I usually go over to the Starbucks, which is just around the corner. Not particularly because I like Starbucks, but it's there, and have a cup of tea, and just kind of ease into the weekend, quiet. And on Saturday, I don't know, I don't usually do Starbucks in the morning because it's kind of like crazy. People get in like they're in a hurry to get to work and they want the caffeine now, and the energy, and there's like, whew, in the morning on a weekday. But on a Saturday, it's a whole different energy. Everybody just kind of oozes in. If they're on their way to a tennis lesson or something, and they're pretty chill. So there I was sitting this Saturday morning having my cup of tea, and then over there is the sun rising, and over there is a young family and folks talking quietly. And over there in the corner, a couple of guys are talking, and one's really so happy that Trump won the nomination at last, and the other is really defending Hillary, and they're kind of going at it. And they're over there, but their voices get louder. They get really loud. And the Trump guy gets kind of obnoxious. I don't know. It's not about which side it is. It's just that voice is loud, and and this other guy over there says, "Hey, keep it down. I'm tired of hearing your racist crap." Whoa! Now there's three guys going, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy over there who's got the loud voice, louder about him, and then his buddy starts yelling about that. And then over here, there's somebody says, "Hey, come on now. This is an open country. You guys can discuss things peacefully." But he says it really loud. He's screaming. I would scream at the volume that they were screaming, except I don't want to ruin your morning the way that they were ruining mine yesterday. And it was just but it was ugly. It was really, really ugly. And at one point, there were 6 people yelling at each other at top volume. And finally, the manager, the poor little teenager, young college student behind tries. But at that point, my mornings, I don't want any more of this. I just take my cup of tea and leave, go sit in my car, and remember everything's a gift. And as I sit there in the car, feeling anger at the men who disrupted my morning, I feel the extent to which their conversation is echoing a much larger, very ugly, very rancorous, I can't call it a conversation, shouting match that's going on. And I can't help but think it's going to be an awful long time till the first week in November, if this is just going to keep ramping up and ramping up. And the social media world is a blessing, absolutely. There's many powerful, wonderful things happen on the internet, no doubt. But this thing about somebody shouts and then someone gives a shouting feedback, on the internet, it goes very quickly. That cycle just goes, and it goes viral, and you got millions of people screaming at each other over something or the other, which feeds off the news cycle, which feeds off, and it just feeds. Everything's a gift. And I would like to acknowledge that in this room this morning, in this room of, 70 loving people here this morning, there's a great deal of love and a great deal of joy and a great deal of peace, but I would also like to acknowledge that in this room, there's a great deal of anxiety. That many of us in here are feeling this anxiety about the election, the bombings, the police killings, just on and on. And Prime Minister of France telling the people of France, we're just going to have to get used to terrorism as part of our lives. And you and I have come to grasp at some level with the awareness that we're going to have to learn to deal with terrorism in our lives. In the pleasant, peaceful country we call America, people are going to be blowing themselves up and killing others with machine guns. And there's nothing we can do to stop it. I don't care who says otherwise. A whole bunch of crazy people are now empowered by the internet and by big weapons. And at some level, you and I know that. It's back there. It's disturbing. We don't want to think about it, but we understand that our world has changed. And everything's a gift. So what do I do? What do I do? What can you do with the sense of anxiety? Well, KSTX, our local public radio station. How many of you are fairly regular listeners to Texas Public Radio? Then you've heard, and most of us will hear, I'm hoping, in the coming days and weeks, about idaretolisten.org. idaretolisten.org. I invite you to make note of that and consider going to that website later this week, maybe even today. We'll have our laptop open at the back of the room where you can sign up on that website. And basically, it's a campaign asking people to take a pledge that says, I dare to listen to voices other than mine. Because most of us just listen to our own voice. And the voices that sound like us, of people we agree with and to. Increasingly, we become a niche society, and we just talk to and Facebook with and call and meet with people, only the people we like. And that's okay, but it turns out the people we like is a relatively small number of people in the world. And those others is a big number. And among that big number of people we hate, but still have to live with somehow. There's no magic formula, although there is the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do to you. It happens to be the same rule in the Christian world as in the Muslim world, as it is in the Jewish world, as in the Buddhist and the Hindu. All traditions have some version of that same sentence. And I think the wise men and women of the sages of millennia have been telling us this golden rule, and we didn't get it. So now people are coming with big guns and bombs and asking us, well, now do you get it? You can ignore it when Jesus said it 2,000 years ago. You can ignore it when the preacher says it at the front of the room on Sunday. You can ignore it as just a Bible verse you put aside. But you can't ignore it now, can you, buddy? So proactively, you and I are asked to build a field of energy. And there are many different ways to do it, but I happen to think this particular one is a nice place to start. And as Cogent and the people at KSTX and KPAC, Texas Public Radio, have started this campaign, and it's a good one. And if silly kitten viral videos can, attract 5 billion views in 3 weeks, why can't idaretolisten.org and the pledge to listen go viral? Well, you know why. Because it's not sexy, and it's not funny, and it's not pretty, and it is hard. And yet, it is a powerful path forward for all of us. And I posit that this is one of several things that you and I can do on a daily basis to help lower that level of background anxiety that has crept into our hearts and minds and leaps up every time we turn on the television news or click on whatever social media and get the faces of the newest blast, the newest hate-filled speech by whichever candidate. When we feel that anxiety, instead of just, I wish the world weren't like that, take a moment to consider the power of listening to that voice that is bothering you on the TV, on the computer screen, that hate-filled message being spewed by that Facebook friend who's telling you something that you don't want to hear, that awful bomb image on the TV with bodies scattered all over in the latest town. If instead of pushing it away, just say, this too is a gift, and as I listen into it, it has a gift for me. You say, well, Rudy, what the heck could be the gift of looking at a bunch of bodies strewn on the street in France or Baltimore or Ferguson or Dallas or Baton Rouge or Orlando? And the gift is one only your spirit can reveal to you, but only if you're willing to listen. And stop just being in reaction to X. You know what I'm talking about? All those X's you don't want to see, but keep showing up in your life anyway. Back to my little car in the parking lot, Starbucks yesterday. Sitting there, I'm angry at management didn't do more to stop this argument earlier. I'm angry at the guy for raising his voice about Trump, angry at the other guy for raising a voice about Hillary. They've all messed with my morning. I'm sitting there, what is the gift? And I feel inside myself at that particular moment how sad and scared I am that we've come to a time and a place where I don't automatically think of my child's world as being safe. And I want to blame somebody. And really, that's what I'm angry about. I'm not angry at these guys having this particular argument about these two particular candidates, although I could be. I could easily take a role. I could jump right into that argument. I got my opinion about Trump and I'm Clinton. I've got that. But underneath that is my fear that the world isn't safe for my son. For myself, whatever. I've got my fears too, but at that moment, that's what I was sad about. I could see my son behind the counter of Starbucks, and what I realized is I was suddenly scared inside myself that in there could have ended up in a shooting. That idiot talking that loud was mad enough that he'd had a gun with an open carry permit in the state of Texas. He could easily shot us all up. That was right there. And I saw my son behind the counter. And I saw that guy get that mad. But that's my stuff. They were just having a political argument and being rude, but they're having a political argument. It's not uncommon. I can't stop all the political arguments in the world, but I can sit with that fear in me and listen to my deep self. So, I'm here to dare to listen to myself. I'm here to dare to listen to the people who argue, even if they're loud and obnoxious. Not to agree with them, not to end the argument, not to win the argument, but just hear, oh, that man's got some pain and fear. And feel that inside myself and just stay with it and then go on my merry way. Anyway. So I wish I had a cute story to end this talk with, something that would make you laugh or scratch your head or say, no, but instead I have a dare. I dare you to dare to listen to yourself, to those who you disagree with. I dare you to go to idaretolisten.org and just take the I Dare to Listen pledge and pass it on your Facebook page or however you pass your social media on, or call somebody and say, hey, I've been thinking about you. I've been listening to your heart. Would you go sign I Dare to Listen? Anyway, idaretolisten.org. Simply being with myself, ourselves. And looking around and remembering again and again that this morning, in this room, you can look around and see love and gifts everywhere. It's easy, right? But that's true at your office tomorrow, too. That's true at H-E-B in the grocery store, and it's true at rush hour on the highway. If I open up, everything's a gift, and there's lots of love all around and within me. At least that's my story, but I'm sticking to it.